Hey there, welcome to ATL and 29, a podcast that looks at the NBA from the starting point of Atlanta. My name is Kevin Chouinard. I'm here with Glenn Willis from Las Vegas, I think, and Tyler Jones, and we're 3 games in, and Hawks still are undefeated, and I don't know how aggressively they're going to try to keep winning and do all that stuff, but certainly some interesting trends so far, and I think the biggest maybe, Tyler, is to start with like, what do you think of what you've seen from Kobe Buffkin so far? Because I mean, this roster is so big, but ultimately it comes down to like, what are the one or two main guys getting out of this, and what's Kobe getting out of this, and what do you see?
I think he's just getting back to the swing of things. It's like I just don't think people understand that Kobe has not played that much basketball in his NBA career, and so I'm not terribly surprised that he played all 3 games. Um, and he's looked good to me. Like he's shown me what I need to see, which is the talent. Like I don't particularly care about the production or how overall he looks. I think he's done a good job just keeping the offense on track when he's in the game, particularly. And he's such a threat to score on the ball that he has gravity by himself. And he's clearly a class above like G League caliber point guard play. Um, I personally think he's above what you would get from the minimum at point guard, period. Like I'm not seeing minimum caliber basketball players being able to create shots like this in a half court setting. So you know, I, I'm not dissuaded by anything he's done. I've been encouraged. I think he's probably playing more just to get him back, like I said, get him back to the swing of things and get him back comfortable playing through contact. Because I did think the second game, he was like it seemed he was hesitant to really throw his body around. And it was noticeable when they went up by like 20 points, where he was really like just started like shying away from contact, not gathering 2 feet, and then putting his shoulder into guys, which he did game one. So I just think he's got to work through those mental hurdles from having major surgery, and I think he's doing a pretty good job of that.
Glenn, I know you've gotten to see some things up close. I would ask you a question, but really I should just let you talk about whatever you want to talk about because you've seen it from a different angle than me. What are you seeing from up close, Glenn?
Yeah, the things that we talk about all the time are still there, right? Just stays on task. Even, he has, say 3 turnovers in a row or whatever. It is. He just keeps his head down and keeps working and stays focused. And we know that's something the Hawks value in their evaluation is mentally tough, competitive, coachable, guys that will just kind of stay on task. And the turnovers, the stat sheet have been high. That's, up close. I know it's always interesting to see up close. So you get a different kind of view of what's going on. And when you're watching on TV, they're showing you, you're watching what they show you, right? You don't really get to pick the angle. It's been a mix of things. Number one thing for me is that this is as aggressive as I've ever seen him try to kind of raise his level to in a long time. He looks like a guy who's been told you need to be level 10 of 10 aggressive because that's what you have to do to kind of click into the role that we need you to play. Which Trey's off the floor, depending on who else is on the floor with him, you may be really running things. And I think it looks like a context where they said, if you turn the ball over 8 times a game, I don't care. I just want you to work through the pace we need you to play at, level of aggressiveness you need to play at. And the turnovers have been a mix of him playing more aggressively than he's probably ever played in his life at any level, anything. Some new guys around him, not always in the exact right spot. So, I don't want to sit here and say Kobe's turnovers are not his fault. I think he's responding to the coaching and responding to the challenge and really trying to go out and be aggressive. And I think this is like 2 to 3x the level of aggressiveness he's ever been asked to play at and this is the right setting for that. And this is the right setting for him to go out and kind of acclimate to that. But even still, the other dynamic you see live is he problem solves on the fly, right? You can see that processing, you can see that happening, you can see that adjusting, and those things. There are times like in game three, something you probably never saw on TV was that he was asking Flagler, like when I'm getting doubled up here, when I come across half court, I need you to come to me and get closer to me and create a simpler pass out of that double. So you didn't really see that in game 1 and 2, but so it looks to me like they were telling, be more vocal, tell the guys around you what you need them to do when you're getting that level of defensive attention. So and again, I have the luxury of being there in person and seeing all that, and it has been interesting to see him be more vocal and more giving more direction and those sorts of things. So I'm not worried about him. I don't want to tell people who are watching and landing on their own opinion like I'm right, you're wrong, whatever. But I think the benefit of being up close, sitting in the third row, and kind of watching all this happen, kind of helps you connect the dots on the things he's trying to work through. And this is the right context for him to kind of work through the things we're asking him to do.
Is it fair to say that the Hawks haven't necessarily stacked the offensive lineups in his favor? Like I love what I've seen from Jacob Toppin in that Phoenix game. Like Phoenix constantly wanted to run like side pick and roll, and they would empty out like the strong side corner, and so you'd have that one guy kind of zoning up to the middle of the paint. And a lot of the times it was Toppin, and like I feel like him better than everybody else kind of had this sort of defensive connectivity of making sure he didn't get back up, but also being present there to help. And Toppin's done a lot as a play finisher. Like he's one of those guys who can just like get you 3 point volume. Like if he's open, he's got the high quick release. He's absolutely willing to get those shots up. He's been really good as a cutter. But like at the same time, like if you play him at small forward and you've got Asa Newell out there and maybe like Nelly Jr. Joseph, it's just not a lot of connectivity for Kobe, right? Like you play those guys and it's like it's kind of hard for him to sort of get off the ball and play through the offense. Like he's just it just seems like this offense is asking a lot from him. And that maybe like there have been some lineups where it's gotten a little bit better with Jack McVay or something like that, but it just seems like so many of these lineups, just a lot is falling on Kobe in terms of like setting the table for the rest of the team. Is that fair to say?
I mean, it's just been a lot easier when it's Jack McVay or or White on the floor compared to Jacob Toppin at the small forward position. Like Toppin at the three isn't the level of shooter that you probably want at that position if you're a Kobe Buffkin, um, because he's not the deep 3 point shooter that Jack McVay's letting it go from like 28 feet, and like that's a big reason why they came back um, in the last game was that McVay's, besides that he made every shot he took, but like he was spacing 28 plus feet away from the rim, gave Kobe easier driving lanes. He was able to be more efficient, get downhill easier. So that just made life easier. So like, yeah, it's not a great context, but that's summer league, right? Like, I mean, they're just. I think it's pretty obvious they don't want Asa to play center the entire summer league game. So, and they also don't want Asa boxing out bigger players. So they often pair him with Jacob Toppin and another big to protect Asa. But weirdly enough, I thought defensively, Asa Newell was better when he was at center, and they just asked him to switch everything. Right now, they struggled to get the rebound, but like he's just a way more impactful defender than what he was doing when they just had him floating around. So that's just something to monitor there with him. But yeah, I mean, it's not a great context for Kobe. I honestly, he was fine with the turnovers until game three. I just thought he was tired. Like I thought he was tired. I thought the team was tired. They clearly weren't hustling. The Rockets were out hustling them, and they fought through it, and they somehow won just because they're the more talented basketball team. And it was impressive that they won the game. They easily could have just packed it in because uh, if they hadn't won the first two games, there's no chance Kobe Bufkin's playing that game. There's no chance Asa Newell's playing, Jacob Toppin. But because they won, I think they're trying to go for it. And so, like, they went for it. They were gassed, and they fought through it. So, like, that's where I think more of the turnover issues came. But you are right, like, Kevin, they aren't helping him when it comes to his scoring. Like he's had his better scoring moments when he has more space around him. That's just the reality. And so it'll be interesting to see if Jacob Toppin can't go, how Kobe looks going forward from here on out.
Yeah,
One of
it's
the
interesting
things.
because
Oh,
what he's
sorry.
seeing defensively, that's what point guards see at the NBA level, right? It's they load up on you, especially if you don't have enough, like we saw last year. Hawks had a lot more shooting after the trade deadline. Could tell it still wasn't their strategic roster. Terrence Mann shot way above his baseline the rest of the season. Niang's a great just catch and shoot guy, but putting on the floor or whatever. So they were top 3 or 4 the whole time after and 3-point percentage after the trade deadline. But obviously they looked at their results defensively and knew like there's not enough defense on this roster, so we got to find more balance in that way. But I think I'd love to ask Brian Bailey, like, as part of this, the idea is that you want Kobe to see like some replication of what he's going to see if he's playing back at point guard. That's what it's like. You're running a second unit and there's less offense there. Maybe your second unit leans more defense or whatever it might be. This is what it's like. And so he needs that experience. And maybe strategically, like, do we want to put all the solutions on the floor for him or let him like have half the solutions, and work through it? But I mean, they played, White and McVay like a lot in that second half of the last game. And on defense, it was and they're pros. Like they know what they're doing. They don't move that great. They don't have that much size, but they know what they're doing. And then Kobe kind of unlocked it, in the fourth quarter. And when it comes to shot creation, it looks like they do want him to like read the play. If they're in a deep drop, get to your 12-foot pull up. If you have a guy who's out of control, kind of rotating in from the weak side corner, go create that contact. So once he kind of gets going downhill, his reads are really good. His reads are really, really good. The adjustment is when they're loading up on him and trying to kind of figure out, how do I dribble out of it? Do I pass out of it? Do I have enough playmaking on the floor with me to pass out of it and let the rest of the guys on the floor kind of make the play? Toppin's been good in that. Toppin's been good in that role. Up close, you could see the processing with him. The ball handling is a lot better than it was at the end of last year. He still puts the ball at risk, like right in front of him sometimes when the defender's in a stance and all that sort of stuff. But he's growing. I mean, he is growing like crazy. So for me, I feel like sometimes they're setting Kobe up to not have so many solutions that it makes it too easy for him because they want him to feel like this is what it looks like when you're the guy, you're the head of the snake, as coaches like to say, and teams are going to kind of load up and try to force the ball out of your hands.
One of the I think one of the objectives that you typically see for a team in summer league is that they're trying to put together their G League roster. Like last year, the Hawks got Rob Baker and Jordan Bowden and Miles. I guess Miles Norris eventually got a two-way and Jarkel Joyner and Emmett Matthews. Like you're going to take 5 or 6 of these guys a lot of the time and put them in the G League roster. As you look at the Hawks get into a little bit deeper of their bench and things like that, like who do you see that sort of strikes you as, hey, I think it would be really good if the Hawks could take this player and then stash him in College Park next year? Go ahead, Glenn.
Oh, I mean, I love defensively what Nelly Jr. Joseph brings. I mean, his range and his ability to cut. I mean, his processing to cover up, seeing a guy kind of behind him, get detached from his guy, and just shading that way, using his length. I mean, he's got such a lot of processing there. In this context, he's been good in the post, but on an NBA team, that's something he'd literally never get to do. And so you have to kind of appreciate that. Like, we're not playing through you in the post. But they still think you want to give him reps to kind of show what he can do. And when the Hawks have gotten a switch, he runs down to the front of the rim and tries to pin the guy behind him under the rim. So he knows what he's doing. He absolutely knows how he's playing. And so I would put him at the top of the list for me. The other prospects like White McVay are older guys. I think they're helpful to the young guy. Like Tony Bradley was for Nico last year, right? The number of games that Nico played last year. So I think those guys are helpful. I mean, we talked about it before, but I think Toppin, someone's going to swoop in and give him an actual NBA contract. If the Hawks just keep him on a two-way, he's
Well,
defensively,
wait,
he's
that's not how it works though.
Nope, not how it works, unfortunately.
so teams typically don't stand in the way of a guy getting a real contract if they have him on a two-way. Now, will this front office play differently? We'll see. But teams
When they
generally,
I don't think they can even
with him,
they
he
can't
signed to a
negotiate with
contract
it. That would be like
with them.
tampering. Like
Yeah, they can't negotiate. It's over.
An agent will make a back channel call and be like, "We got to really, All I'm saying is there's plenty of examples of that happening.
And it costs compensation. The Hawks are not giving anybody a deal with Jacob Toppin, unfortunately.
So I think the Hawks coming out of this summer league have a decision to make on do we go ahead and boot him up to a real roster spot, and there's plenty of time. There's plenty of time for that. Team calls right now, like we're waiting until we break camp in September and seeing who we have on the roster, who we don't have on the roster. I'm telling you, that dude can defend. That dude can outright defend. And especially the concept being your eighth, ninth, 10th guy that you need to kind of roll out and give you 11 minutes game, whatever it is. But in that Suns game, like Brea went off in the first half. Once Bailey put Toppin on him, he couldn't get to anything. He couldn't get to anything. Now, I know Brea is a second round pick, a rookie, so it's not like he's out there, but you can tell like footwork, technique, all that. It's all there. And you can tell that Toppin knows that his path to an actual NBA career is through defense first. And he's been really really good there. So I mean, on two ways you're limited on the number of days you can spend with the big league club, but he's there too. I thought Javon Johnson was good in that last game. I was impressed with him as well. So those are the guys that kind of jump out to me. Jake Stevens as a backup center in your G League team, just to go out there and play five, when you want to roll to some five out there, fine. Defensively, everybody sees what his limitations are in that regard. Powell is a guy who knows how to do what the Hawks want you to do. And just an older guy who knows the system, all that sort of stuff. So that's helpful. I mean, for me, if I was to prioritize one guy who's on a contract right now, I mean, getting that kind of defensive range and athleticism and processing and Ellie Junior Joseph, I think that's a guy you want to put in your dev ecosystem and grow him towards a year or two away being a guy who could be your third big, because he shows a lot on that end of the court. He needs some actual NBA, play. G League teams get actual like veteran centers that have played 5 years in the league and pulled it like Tony Bradley, and him facing guys like that in the G League game in game out would be, I think, helpful for him to realize what it takes to maybe kind of grow into a third big spot.
How do you feel about that question, Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, Nelly, he's a little good defensively. Offensively, it's been, hit or miss. I think he's trying to make the right play. Uh, it's just sometimes he's late or maybe he's early or over eager, and it leads to bad process. But uh, there's something to work with him because the defense has been pretty good. Um, it's a step below what I saw from Ellie, but like it's still pretty good, especially for a G League, G League roster. It's absolutely somebody you might want to invest in. Um, Try to get him on a favorable deal. So over down there in the G League, I don't see any team trying to poach him just because, again, he's very raw on the offensive end. But the defense is legit, and he's really helped the Hawks due to the fact that they've missed. I feel like this team has missed Ellie a lot. Like that one game, it was quite clear who the best center was. They're trying to go with Jake Stevens, and Jake, it's like he knows he's too slow, and so he just fouls. Which is, you can get away with that in the G League. I mean, you can get away with that in the summer league setting where it's 10 fouls and you can just foul as many times you want. You're never getting in the bonus, but like it's just not going to work on a professional NBA or American floor really. Like it's the game. Teams play too fast now, and like him in transition is just a disaster. So, but I mean, the offense with him is intriguing, but it's just like not worth. It's just not worth it when he's out there like to start games. It's pretty consistently the Hawks are getting ate up, and these G League teams are just attacking the slow big guy because it's the easy way to get easy offense for your guards, and it's just like, yeah, we can't play like this, or we're gonna lose by 30. So it's unfortunate for him. Other guys, I've liked what I've seen. I liked what he's seen from Kobe in game two more than game one. Kobe Johnson. Um, and Javon Johnson actually showed me some stuff. Game three, he was a lot better defensively than I thought he'd be. And so, like, I'd like to see more from him in future games. Hopefully, get some more playing time in the next couple of games or so. Because I was actually surprised with how well he defended. So like that's maybe somebody to keep an eye on as well. But this, I mean, there's a lot of talent on this team. Like, you know, White and McVay just seem like real pros. I don't know if they'll be on a G League team. Like, feels like if they're not an NBA team, they'll be go to Europe or something or Australia, back to Australia, the NBL. But like they seem like a cut above. Just McVay. It's well, it was a revenge game for him against the Rockets. But like those two guys are just playing at like you could tell they've been playing professional basketball for like well over a decade now. So you'd like them on your G League team, but I don't know if I don't know if you can pay them enough to stay and just be. You're never playing on the NBA floor for us, but we could really use you to help us develop the young guys. I don't see older vets like that buying that. So that's unfortunate. But like I mean, it's like we said at the preview when we previewed this team, like it's a talented team full of vets and pros, and like there's a lot of like good talents. It is unfortunate though that some of the guys have been hurt and they haven't been able to play at all. So that kind of stinks. And I can't make an opinion on them if they don't play. So that's unfortunate for them.
Yeah, I agree on McVay and White. Like if you could steal them, but that'd be great. But they're probably gonna have other offers. What about Flagler? Like what's gonna happen with him? Is he stealable?
I mean, it's funny. I heard that basically, Ansi was calling him like the day after the finals to try to get him to come play. And I think they did commit to giving him some more kind of on-ball opportunities. And you've seen that in this game, in these three games, and it's been up and down for sure. I don't think he's ever really done that before so much. And him, Kobe kind of giving him direction stuff is like kind of a more manifestation of what you see with him to do that. So it could be that like they want him to, I don't know, play backup point guard down at College Park or, whatever it might be. The dude could shoot the basketball, but it's been, you can see the difference in the catch and shoot and the pull up. Like he's been a catch and shoot guy like his whole time in the NBA ecosystem. The pull up, the technique is there, but you see the rhythm's a little weird, the timing's a little inconsistent, and those things. But if they're saying, hey, we're going to give you a chance to kind of grow this part of your game. I mean, for me, like one of the first priorities that Quinn established when he came here, he put Ryan Schmidt down there at College Park, and they've built an actual development ecosystem that are drawing guys that are interested in going somewhere. They're going to work you hard. They're going to challenge you. They're going to give you the opportunities, all that sort of stuff. And like you think back to when Bud was here and they had a different G League coach every year. They had a completely different G League roster every year. There's no continuity at all. And now they're attracting, players who are maybe one step away from maybe being, getting a 12th, 13th, 14th spot on an actual NBA roster. And guys are drawn to a system that will help them develop and give them the role and opportunities to be transparent about it. So I like Flagler a lot. His screen navigation on defense is great, and such, and he's been helpful in that regard. But I think he just wants to become a more well-rounded offensive player, and he looks like a guy who's been committed potentially to get an opportunity to kind of play more on ball and not just be up all the time.
Yeah, maybe the Hawks have a little bit of a home city advantage with Flagler, maybe sort of like what they did with Kevon Harris last year. Like
Yep.
they didn't, Kevon was like almost too talented to just be like a regular G League player, and he gave them a ton of offense, and he's going to get his opportunity now with Houston as a two-way player, and so maybe they could square something similar for Flagler this year. That would probably be a pretty decent coup to get somebody with that kind of talent to just you need those kind of guys to just make sure that there's enough offensive firepower so that the other guys can develop in their roles properly.
Yeah, I was
Are the
excited to
Hawks
see.
going to go for this? Are we going to see like Kobe and Nico and Asa, trying to play 4 or 5 games this week?
You got more connections than we do to get that question submitted, Kevin.
That's not true.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, I would assume so based on the fact they played game three, but we'll see.
Yeah,
Um, I,
Brian Bailey is rolling closing lineups out there that looks like he's trying to win games. So that's the
yeah,
one data point that makes me think maybe they are.
And 2 days off, like if you're going to play on the second half of a back-to-back, like then when you have 2 days off, like why pass on the developmental opportunity to to get those. I think that you're gonna at least see. I think you're gonna at least see like some action in this fourth game for some of these guys with the 2 days off. I mean, they at some point though they're gonna have to work in probably some of these guys who haven't gotten to play yet. So I don't know. Maybe they play a half or something. I don't know. It'll be interesting.
Maybe you wake up on tomorrow morning and look at the standings and try to figure out how much do we have to win this game to get in, what kind, those kinds of things. And, that's a factor sometimes. So but being 3-0 helps you if you want to punt a game and rest some guys before you try to make a run through the playoffs. You might have that flexibility.
Am I allowed to be irrationally exuberant about Nico at this point? I know
Yeah.
with the big giant neon caveat that he was awful in the second half of game one. Like just defensively it all fell apart. But like, okay, if
Yeah.
we punt that half, like I feel like everything else that I've seen I'm kind of excited about.
His ability, I was going to be quick. I want to hear Tyler too, but we let him have close, man. He's fiery. He's a really fiery guy. And there's a little like I don't want to elicit like the worst part, but like there's a little Matthew Dellavedova just kind of like just out there stirring stuff up all day. He's not trying to get somebody hurt like Delly was all the time. So I want to set that part aside. But he's a guy who needs to find like third gear and know when to push it into fourth. He's out there in fourth gear all the time, just going like boom, all the time. And on defense, that gets him in trouble. He overplays, sometimes, and you see that kind of stuff show up. But he's been attacking the basketball more. He's the containment is still not there. You can see he's not fully in game shape. Tyler talked about that really smartly after game one and stuff. But his self creation, getting to the mid range and the passing in game three was really, really high level for where he is in his development to be.
I mean, I was impressed by the defense in the Rockets game in the fourth quarter in particular. Like, uh, he was the biggest reason why they won the game. Like, he had a big time block
Yeah.
at the rim.
Hmm.
Not something I've seen from him. So it's just something to monitor with Nico that he could tap into that defensively and offensively. Like, there's a place in this. There is a open spot in the Hawks rotation for a bigger size basketball player that can get to the rim without a screen. There just is. Like off a standstill, not having to play, you have to be ran for him. He can beat his man off the dribble, get 2 feet in the paint, and cause a rotation, and then pass out to an open shooter. And Nico's consistently done that in this summer. Even in the Heat game, he was doing that. He just got gassed in the second half, but like he was doing that in the first half. And like I'm liking the pull up jump shots from mid range, and I'm liking what I'm seeing. Like Nico's showing me a lot more than what he showed last year in the G League. Really, if we're being honest, like this is a way better basketball player than what he was for the most part in the G League. I didn't see the end of his season, but just in general, he wasn't at this level, and he wasn't playing with this level of. It feels like he got his confidence back, maybe. And he's just a more confident offensive player. Like he feels comfortable taking mid-range jump shots. Maybe that's not something that was the case. It certainly wasn't something the case in summer league last year where he was just firing from three and just shooting the ball as hard as he could from 3-point land and like not even coming close to the rim. So like this is like a more
What shot?
it's just a much controlled basketball player getting to his mid-range spots, being big and being able to create separation in the mid-range like that. That's just a valuable skill combined with his ability to get all the way to the rim and cause rotation. So like Nico, I'm happy for him primarily. He got his contract, and it's good to see because again, his first summer league stint wasn't the best. G League wasn't great either. Then they signed him to this contract, and there were I understood some concerns from people inside who are Hawks fans or maybe who are just lead followers, like, why are the Hawks giving a guaranteed contract to a guy who hasn't proven anything? Like he hasn't shown NBA on an NBA setting in an NBA setting. He hasn't shown enough, uh, particularly his G League season, because at the end of the day it just wasn't very good. But like it's good to see him producing and being really good. Like he's been one of the best drivers in summer league throughout in the entirety of summer league, and like he's a big reason why the Hawks are 3-0. So like
Yeah.
hopefully it continues for him, and hopefully he keeps his confidence up because he's like I said, there is a spot for somebody to drive the ball. Like there just is, because it can't just be Trae Young. This season cannot be where it's Trae Young driving to the rim or nothing's happening. That's not that we can't go. We can't have another year of doing that. I don't want to see that anymore for him, for Trae, for the Hawks, and for the rest of his team. Like the small guy on the floor shouldn't be the only one who's able to drive to the rim. And so, like, if Nico can continue to build confidence here and keep the turnovers down and find something in the mid range, that there's a spot for him. He can take somebody's spot. Like the, there's a guaranteed 8 guys in the rotation, and then the rest is wide open to me. And in this Hawks rotation, so there are spots available. If he keeps showing this, I mean, again, defensively, he still's got to get a lot better. But like, this is a much better starting point than what I thought we were going to get from him. Uh, for after, especially after that first game.
Yeah, for me, it's like I see like maybe across the season he and V kind of competing for minutes, right? V doesn't have the on-ball creation that I mean, V was so aggressive getting to his three ball last year. You have to really appreciate that. But he's still not strong enough on ball. He gets kind of gets pushed around a lot. Actual screens from NBA centers displace him because he's just not strong enough to kind of hold ground and all that sort of stuff. Where Nico has a little bit more size and strength. But Nico, I mean, just getting to that pull up like at the free throw line and and in that 10 to 12 foot range in that game. And then the Hawks don't win game three. To kind of build on Tyler's point, when Kobe was giving them nothing offensively for stretches, Nico was stringing that offense along almost single handedly at times. And that's the only thing that kept them in range in quarters two and three and set them up. Now Kobe came in at the end and kind of took over as you'd want him to, but man, Nico kept them in the game for like the second and third quarter by you know what he was giving them offensively, and that made like kept that game in reach for them.
I do hope there haven't been any announcements, not even like a preliminary announcement where like the roster is twice as big, but I really hope that he gets some repetitions with Serbia this summer in Eurobasket. I'm still a little bit salty that Serbia played Micic in the fourth quarter versus USA. Like I just feel like that tainted the whole game. Like it was just I will never ever forget that as long as I live. Like I don't understand why he was in the game at that juncture. But keeping that in mind, it feels like, there is an opening. There are a lot of young guys like Nico who might step in and fill sort of a creator role for Serbia, but like he's certainly one of the candidates, and I hope he, even if it's not like the in-game reps, even just the practice reps, I think would be good for him to keep working on that. Tyler talked about College Park last season, and like I feel like the trajectories of the team and Nico went two different directions. Like Nico started really badly when the team was good, and then by the time Nico got his act together, like the roster was just so gutted that the Skyhawks were pretty bad, and it was kind of hard to judge his development at that point because he just wasn't playing with. It wasn't even like G League level talent. So I I'm intrigued. Tyler was talking about how like there's a role for somebody who can just drive and get to the paint with no screen. But I'm intrigued by what he does when there is a screen. Like he really has a knack for like using his screen. Like what is he doing like when he's got a screen in front of him? It seems like he's got a good knack for knowing like, okay, here are my options, where I can reject the screen or play into the screen. Like, what is he doing with some of these reads if we get like to the nitty-gritty of it, that it just seems like he's always getting a step like without fail. Like what is he looking for? Is it like hips on his defender, his eyes? It just seems like, without fail, he gets a step that gets the defense retreating. Is there something that you see? Is there something you saw close up, Glenn?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely is setting up his defender. And as soon as he kind of sees, a drop step that's a little deep, it's just all that little stuff, right? The drop step's a little too deep, hips open up a little bit too much. He crosses over and gets separation from the defender. That's the main thing he's getting to is he'll kind of nudge in, press in, create a big drop step, kind of aggressive, kind of kind of attack at the defender, get him, off center or whatever it is, and then just go the other direction, get that separation. And you see Kobe trying to do that too, but I mean, Nico is on really unbalanced, really, really unbalanced when he's doing that sort of stuff. And to me, that you want to look think about a guy who, like, I don't know, 2 years could run your second unit offense if he could just keep building on that skill set to attack one on one in that way. I mean, he's ahead of he's ahead, I mean, Kobe's done great getting to the rim and getting contact, and that's shot creation as well. That's offensive creation, points creation as well. But the ability to read when your defender gets off balance and to attack like just like that is something Nico's been showing that's really jumps out at you watching live up close.
We're getting close to the end here, and I try to ask the questions, but there's so many ways you can go with this. Is there stuff you've seen in these three games that we haven't talked about that you want to talk about? What do you think,
I
Tyler?
mean, to me, it's just
Anything
been.
else? Do you want to talk
I'll
about
be
Dwight
quick. To me,
Murray? Where do you want to go with this?
to me, it's just mentality. They've been down, double digits 2 games and fought back. That's the culture that you want. That's the mentality that you want. That's the work mindedness that you want, and that's been there 40 minutes a game, all 3 games, and everybody buying into it. So that's been the thing that jumps out to me.
Ace's jump shots look pretty good. Um,
Yeah.
and it's the high it's both a high release one and it's quick release as
Yep.
well. And like that matters so much, and so we'll see if he can continue to shoot, if he's going to continue to shoot at this level, because that's a real weapon for him. And that's something he's going to need until he gains more strength, which we talked about. Like a lot of what he's doing is like he wants to be the stronger player, but he's not, and so he's getting pushed back. But he has great balance, that he's still able to make it work anyway. So that's good to see. But like, yeah, the shot for Asa has looked pretty good overall. But outside of that, like Glenn said, like they're competing and they want to win, and they've been a professional outfit the entirety that they've played in summer league for these 3 games. Like, you watch other teams, and it's just like, what are they doing? Like, I'm watching a lot of summer league games, and it's kind of tough. It's a real tough watch because like a lot of these teams, like the Dallas with Cooper Flag was some of the worst basketball you're ever going to see. Like, it was just miserable. I was like, why are they having Cooper play point guard? He's never played this position. He should not be tasked with bringing the ball to the floor. Like, he's clearly not a guard. What are we doing? So that was a tough watch. Hopefully they don't put him in that position, on the NBA floor, because he won't look good doing that. So, um, but no, I mean, I don't have much outside of that. They look good.
It's been
All
fun.
right.
It's been
On to
fun
the
up
rest
close.
of the. What's that?
It's been fun up close. Been You got to
Oh,
get you guys out of here one year.
all
We're gonna
right.
get you
Well,
out here and have a hangover style
no,
summer league.
no. This
I'm
is
way
this is
too old
my
for that. That's a
prime.
joke.
This is my prime basketball playing season, so I got to stay here.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, good night, Bob. Thanks for joining me.
All right, Bob.
Good